Welcome back. Now, there could be a shake-up for the office of the presidency in South Africa. This after Parliament says it's ready to finally create an oversight committee for the presidency. This comes after the National Assembly's Rules Committee accepted a proposal to establish such a committee. For reaction to this, I'm joined by Hlengiwe Mkhaliphi, that's the Economic Freedom Fighters member of Parliament. Very good evening to you, Hlengiwe. Thank you for joining us. A long time coming, this proposal, for the past couple of years, with most opposition political parties saying the Q&A, whether oral or written, for the president is simply not enough in terms of oversight of his office.
Thanks very much. Good evening to you and to the viewers at home. Indeed, I think that it has been a breakthrough in terms of the accountability, especially on the presidency, on this new rule that was passed yesterday by the members of the National Assembly, although it still has to be processed by the subcommittee on rules. But we are very happy about this decision that was taken on the Rules Committee yesterday, because we've been advocating for this rule to be passed in Parliament in order for the president to be accountable. We remember that it was not only this rule that was passed yesterday. There are very two important rules on top of this one. One being is the one that we have taken a decision that when there is a minister that is on the House or in the committee, instead of just throwing a question, and if you are not satisfied about the question, so the minister will just answer for the sake of answering it. And yesterday, I think the engagement was very progressive to say that, no, if a member is given a chance to ask a minister a question, it must be one-on-one until within 10 minutes or 15 minutes, until a member is satisfied that the minister has been accounting. But coming back to this one, last year, I think it was 24th of October, February 2024, 23 February, if I'm not mistaken, we have written a letter to the Speaker after the President decided to appoint the Minister of Electricity under his office. Then we wrote to the Speaker to say that, Speaker, I think it's high time to have a specifically committee that is going to ensure that the President is accountable, because he keeps on increasing activities under his offices. Remember, there were 18 activities under his office, including the intelligence in his office, including the Presidential Employment Stimulus, State-Owned Enterprises Council, and all others. And then we said to the Speaker, no, I think the Speaker, we are empowered in terms of the Rule 150, subsection 2 of the Rules of National Assembly to form this kind of a committee. So even this year, on the new administration, I remember very well that the Economic Freedom Fighters raised this matter sharply on the workshop to say that this one is very critical, because the president will just take a decision and then there's no one who's going to be able to question those decisions in details. But now we have the rule in place. We're very happy.
You speak of some of the loopholes that the current oversight system from Parliament has had over the president. I mean, we spoke of the oral and written reply questions. There's been issues of partisan questions that are posed to the president during those sessions. How do you envisage this committee to look like, and what exactly would you like for it to focus on, and how does it plug some of those holes that you've mentioned?
Yes. I think this committee will be playing a very important and critical role to the president, because the president is the only mechanism that is objected to is that one of question and answer, of which is allocated for 3 hours in the National Assembly. For instance, let's say I have a question as member of the EFF. I'm not allowed to make a follow-up. So it means it's just a talk show. Once the president answer or not answer directly, remember, the role in place does not allow you to say, I'm not satisfied, because the Speaker or the House Chair will just dismiss you by saying that, no, but the President have answered. This specific committee is going to ensure that President comes to the committee, it's per the committee schedules, and then the President will be there and be grilled and answer specifically about his actions that he is taking in South Africa.
Now, in the context of the government of national unity, some have argued that cabinet members that appear, some even from the presidency, ministers in the presidency have appeared before Parliament. They've been appeared in committees as well to give oversight and answer questions that are posed by members of Parliament. You have said that that is not enough, but the ANC has argued to say, you know, that should be enough. They are answerable to the budget that is provided by Parliament to the President's office.
Look, I have learned that some of the things that is under the president, those 18 activities, he have bloated his office with more critical activities. Let me just tell you one thing, that there is 3 deputy ministers that are responsible for African Union diplomats and state security. If you can ask me as a member of parliament, who are those 3 ministers? We don't know because we are not told. We just learn that one from the newspapers or learn that one from the website. But the actual fact is that we don't know what are those 3 deputy ministers are doing in terms of the African Union. Remember, we have a crisis in the African Union. Also, we have a crisis also in Africa. Yet here in National Assembly, there are 3 deputy ministers that are not accountable to the National Assembly, but they are reporting to the president, of which with this committee, we are going to be able to ask specific questions. Who are these 3 deputy ministers? What are their roles? What they are supposed to do? So there's this crisis in the continent. So can you tell us what have been done because they are reporting to your office? Another example that I can bring it to you. For instance, there are people who want an intervention directly from the president. I remember from the top of my head, there's a guy from Limpopo, from Sekhukhune, who's been wanting the intervention from the president because he's complaining about the SIU. He has taken this issue to court about his payment in Sekhukhune. I don't know how many letters he have written to the president, but there is no response from the president. Those are the issues that this committee is going to ensure that they ask direct questions to President. Look, you can't have a citizen who have been written to you so many letters. For instance, the last letter that MP have written was on the 24th of October this year. But I don't know how many letters because he just writes on Facebook to say that I'm not listened to. I don't know where to go about this thing of the SIU who have taken a decision against me, but it was in the court of law. So those are the things that we need this specific committee for the president. For instance, as we are sitting here, we are told that the president have intervened in KwaZulu-Natal at eThekwini. There's a presidential task unit. Cocta Portfolio Committee have visited eThekwini Metro, but was not told specifically what is the role of the presidential task unit. No one is telling or giving the straight answer. But with this committee, we are going to be able to ask President, what are you doing in eThekwini? What are the problems of eThekwini? What does the program get to resolve those problems under this presidential task unit that you have? Identify eThekwini. And with this specific committee, we are able to identify issues that needs to be answered by the president.
And on your priority list, outside of what you've just mentioned, the recommendations from the Zondo Commission with regards to state capture, some of that fell within the ambit of the presidency, his purview. I think there are panels that were set up to make sure that there's some kind of accountability. Would you be looking into that as well to ensure that some of those recommendations, which up to now have not been implemented, perhaps can be looked at?
When this matter of Zondo Commission came to as a report in the National Assembly, we asked specifically to the Speaker, what is the approach? And there was no clear answer. And again, I think that also it is going to be topping the list of the things that we want to get a clarity on. Definitely sure. Because there was a money that was spent, that is people's money, taxpayers' money. So therefore, this thing must also come to the fore in order for us to know where to from now.
As the economic freedom fighters, obviously you're not part of the government of national unity. This committee, I presume, will comprise of many other political parties, most of whom are within the government of national unity. How do you see that panning out in terms of reaching a marriage of minds with some of the issues that you'll be tackling?
Yes, we are not part of the GNU, which is the DA-ANC coalition in per se, but we are very happy to serve in the committee that will also expose all of them. But I'm just happy to report to you to say that all political parties except the ANC alone, even their partners in the form of DA, was also saying, no, let us forge ahead with this committee. And going forward, we are going to play our role as economic freedom fighters because we are the opposition in parliament. So even if there are political parties who are going to come to this committee with a view that they are going to protect the president, we are not going to allow that, as we have played our role even before, even now during this critical time when South Africans, they must be protected. So we are going to continue to play that important role, whether there are people within the committee, because the committee will represent all political parties. But as EFF, we are going to continue to play our role to ask critical questions, to ask on behalf of the South Africans, to ask the president to account, to ask the president of his actions. For instance, let me make just one example. There was a child in Limpopo that was drawn in a toilet. And we also, as political parties, we said we demanded answers from the Minister of Basic Education. And there was another child, again, same situation in the Eastern Cape. And the president went there, said, no, he's going to take this matter to his office. But there's no accountability until now. We don't know what is happening about those issues that the president have decided to take upon himself. The Bella bill. There's a bill that the president has signed. Do you remember? DA from the beginning, before they even form a coalition, they didn't want this bill in a nutshell. But we put pressure in a programming committee in parliament. Can we also get a clarity? How far is the president is going to sign this bill? Why the president is not signing the bill is also pressurized by the DA, because now they're in a GNU, they're in a coalition, unless the president signed the bill. And then when he signed the bill, he said he's signing the bill, but some two clauses, which is clause 4 and clause 5, he is referring those clauses back for consultation. And we are very clear that because those two clauses were not in preference by the DA, that's why the president got pressured. And then we asked what kind of a decision the president is taking in terms of this bill, because this bill, there was some huge consultation and people agreed about this bill because it's going to talk to their issues, in fact, when their kids needs to be admitted in school. So those are the things that this committee that has been agreed on in terms of the rules committees today are going to have more clearer answers when it comes to president. Because when the issue of the Bella bill came to the National Programming Committee, we asked the speaker, and the speaker and I just said, no, I have written to the president to ask some clarity question, but I don't have all the answers that you are demanding here in this programming committee. So therefore, this committee will play a very vital and important role.